So now we have the horse saddled up. What do we do next?
Stefan, that really isn't a horse, you know.
That's a horse.
No, that's a Mustang.
That's a Mustang. Okay, yeah.
And if you don't quite believe that's a Mustang, then you are probably not going to believe me either when I tell you that just up ahead in front of us, we've got the brand new Ford Mustang Mach E GT. Do you? Oh, that's really nice because I've arranged it for us where we intend to delve into 2 or 3 specific things. For one, we haven't shown you the GT variant yet. That means we'll take a quick look around the outside, a quick look inside because the Mach E has been around for a while. Here we have the GT variant. We'll then head onto the highway with you to test out BlueCruise together. BlueCruise is essentially semi-autonomous driving level 2+, which means you can even take your hands off the steering wheel at speeds up to 130 kilometers per hour. We've already demonstrated that to you with a BMW i5 previously, and the Ford Mustang is also capable of that. Of course, we want to demonstrate that to you, and then once again, we have completely investigative information to share with you. Because I've heard, I'm not really allowed to say this out loud yet because it's a press car, 2025, right, Stefan? There will indeed be a model facelift, and we've heard a few bits and pieces about what might potentially change. So we also want to talk to you about this. What will the Ford Mustang be like specification-wise in 2025? Plenty of info. I'd say you should check if you're part of the Enter Electric community. If not, we'd love your support through a subscription. This is free for you, but helps us tremendously with our work. And yes, we'll see each other again with the latest electric cars, at the latest with the 2025 Mustang Mach E. Now, let's go with the GT. As usual, we start outside from the front and check the front section. The Ford Mustang Mach E GT, and quite a number of you might possibly argue, hey, that's really not a true Mustang at all. Yeah, that's right, perhaps even because Mustang traditionally evokes memories of a sporty sedan or a sleek convertible, both equipped with a roaring, growling V8 engine under the hood, delivering that iconic sound. But we've somehow arrived in the future of 2024, 2025, and it is purely battery electric. Up front, we have a beautiful grille. By the way, you can also get it in bronze color as part of a bronze package. That can, of course, perfectly tie in with the exterior color at times. The GT beautifully showcases a thick, glossy, black painted spoiler lip down here. That looks really classy, doesn't it? It looks chic, yeah? And here, the efficient air curtains that are supposed to direct the air around the front wheels. This entire section has been thoughtfully updated here with the GT-specific front area. A real highlight, and I'll need to step into the frame to show you, are these Mustang power domes on the hood, which you can, of course, see very, very nicely from the inside as well. With us on board are matrix LED headlights, meaning the latest technology, where you can block out oncoming traffic and enjoy maximum visibility even in the dark. Yeah, normally he's rocking those big, hefty 20-inch wheels. However, we've got winter tires installed with 19-inch sized at 225/55 R19. Looks nice, right? Yeah.
Sure has charm.
And just behind that, there's a thick and hefty brake system from Brembo, which should obviously grip very well because we have up to a significant 487 horsepower of system power here. You can see how it just barely manages to fit into the rim there, right? In general, we also have an attractive silhouette. The exterior color, by the way, happens to be glacier gray. It's an elegant shade of grey that subtly leans into a light tan. Depending on the exterior lighting conditions, whether it's sunlight or night, it looks incredibly stylish and sophisticated, always paired with glossy black elements, such as here on the sill, distinctly set apart. The wheel arches are slightly widened and beautifully painted. That really looks quite impressive too. Up here, we have a stunning black roof. The color black makes the car appear lower and wider. Here, the black also creates this coupe-like line if Steph zooms out a bit. Then still, to make it stand out more like a coupe because the roofline actually goes upward here, but this clever design makes it drop beautifully and steeply at the back. A special feature of the Mach is also, in addition to everything else, the door handles. You have the small little button for lock and then a unique lever here to pull it open. Some folks among you have been critical of it, though I'm not entirely sure why. It's simply a modern design choice.
Yeah, it's kind of different. Just like you simply have it back here where there's just the spot you can pretty much use.
Exactly, the door almost comes towards you. Then there's an indentation here where you can open and close it accordingly. Well, I think it's chic and something completely different and modern compared to a retractable door handle, a fold-out door handle, a static door handle, or a recessed door handle. So there's always something to complain and grumble about, isn't there?
Yeah.
On the driver's side, you have a special code that lets you conveniently open the Mach E GT plus cell phone, plus digital keycard, plus traditional key. Ford is really stepping into the future here as well. Indeed, the rear end is the real showstopper, especially noticeable here with the taillight design, which we are familiar with from the older Mustang models that continue to be manufactured. If you're looking to add a Mustang to your Mach E, it's offered as either a coupe or a convertible. The GT model features a stylishly designed rear diffuser, enhancing its visual appeal. Coated in glossy black once again, I think it looks sleek and stylish, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, reverse lights also down here, it seems.
Exactly, and the highlight, besides the thick fat, could have a healing effect for the castle. Ford's treating us again, huh?
Right, yes, I think they really went all out again.
I have to say, when the technology is tucked into the mirrors, windows, and body, it's gonna look even sleeker.
Yeah, why is it still like this, though?
But at least this way you can locate the middle of the vehicle, then a nice shape flows along the roofline above the rear spoiler. So you haven't added anything excessively bulky or flashy on top of it. It added a bit with those flaps for extra emphasis, and I would have wished that this beautiful rear windshield wiper, which some of you surely like to use, maybe disappeared under the rear spoiler, because I think that would have emphasized this silhouette even more strongly.
And it just generally looks cleaner.
And when you're basically on a charging break, by the way, there's also good news. The time will be significantly reduced. Would have been cool to have a breakaway edge here.
Where we could place our items.
When you put fries or possibly even a burger here, they might just slide right off.
It can do happen.
So it certainly has the right height. So from that perspective, I have to say the Mustang Mach E GT is definitely striking enough from the outside with its unique features to distinguish it from the base Mach E. Let's talk about the dimensions. The Mustang Mach E GT is 4.74 meters long, 1.61 meters tall, and 1.88 meters wide. With side mirrors, it's just under 2.10 meters and theoretically still fits in the construction site on the left lane. The wheelbase is 2.98 meters, so almost 3 meters. And in between, there's a huge battery pack with 98.7 kilowatt hours gross, of which you can use 91 kilowatt hours net and probably in real operation, both summer and winter, at a reasonable highway speed of 130 kilometers per hour. Even with a full battery, you're likely supposed to achieve around 300 to 350 kilometers of range. Then in urban traffic, it can of course even reach the WLTP range of 476 kilometers. I think it might possibly lead to that. Yes, the battery pack is charged here via the charging port, which is conveniently located in the front fender on the vehicle's driver's side. 3-phase AC with 11 kilowatts and DC with up to 150 kilowatts peak, and that's where a new feature comes in. So far, the process has always taken around 45 minutes, and by the time we reach the model year 2025, it is expected to be reduced significantly to about 36 minutes. I understand that it's not a personal best, but it's definitely a full 10 minutes shorter than before. And whether it might even be possible to transfer that to older Mustang Mach E models via over-the-air updates, we weren't quite sure about that because we didn't really know. Whether the faster charging technology comes purely from the curve, the charging curve, or if it's also connected to another charger, yes, 2 electric motors, one on the front axle and one here on the rear axle, ensure that you have up to 487 horsepower of system power, which can accelerate the car from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 3.7 seconds and then reach up to 200 kilometers per hour. The empty weight is a good 2.3 tons, and that means with us on board, along with all the camera equipment, we will probably be looking at around 2.6 to 2.7 tons overall.
Right? Yeah, something like 2.6, correct?
Because we also want to find out, with GPS measured, if it really does 0 to 100 in 3.7 seconds, right?
Let's see if he can do it today.
We'd like to take an in-depth look under the front hood with you, and Ford has cleverly integrated a frunk there that has a capacity of holding 100 liters. I find that really impressive. They've designed it thoughtfully so you can, for example, store sports gear or wet items in there. There are drainage outlets at the bottom to channel water out of the vehicle. I believe that's very nicely done.
Well done, yes.
Additionally, it has quite a convenient size, so you can likely fit a carry-on suitcase in there, which will then extend the trunk space that we're about to explore shortly. Again, very, very clear. Everything well insulated here. Also nicely loadable to the top. Gotta say, it's a great story.
Absolutely, yes. We have range hoods too.
Now let's just see how it sounds, shall we?
All right, let's go in 3, 2, 1.
Here's a little tidbit. Much more important than the frunk is definitely the space in the rear trunk where, when we open up the lid electrically here, we also get really easy access through a very generously sized tailgate. That available space offers you a full 322 liters. Alongside the frunk, we've got 422 liters of luggage space. Some folks with a 4.74 meter electric SUV might say it could have been a bit larger, don't you think?
Sure, yeah.
This is naturally due to the structural design and the steeply sloping coupe line, which means you can only load it up to this point here, potentially resulting in a slight reduction of the available luggage space inside the vehicle. Sometimes design takes precedence over practicality. Double loading floor, where you can nicely store a Type 2 charging cable, other stuff as well, first aid kit. Tire fit set, and it features a particularly nice loading floor here, but you could also take it out to get a bit more loading height, don't you think? Otherwise, typical Ford, well processed here with the carpet that extends up. Here's a bit of plastic. We've also got lighting on board, a hook to hang something up, a 12-volt socket maybe for a cool box. That's all nice, right?
Sure thing.
If 322 liters aren't enough for your needs, you can always fold down the back seats. Unfortunately, there's a 20% split missing here, which would have been cool for a long item or skis in winter, because we do have an all-wheel drive variant with 2 electric motors, and you can really drive nicely in the mountains with that.
Sure, yeah.
So when you fold down what constitutes 60% of the driver's side and 40% of the passenger's side seats, the capacity jumps from 322 liters to approximately 1,400 liters, which I certainly believe is a fantastic option to have to move or transport a larger, more cumbersome item with ease. Stefan, what are your thoughts on that?
Sure, you can fit stuff in there.
Yeah, if that's still not quite enough for you, you always have the option for something that opens up electrically.
Shuts electric.
That's exactly how it should be, and then perhaps possibly transport it up on the roof, although I haven't found any specific roof load rating.
No ways.
Feel free to comment if you know whether roof load is possible on the Mustang Mach E GT. Usually that's possible. There's an optional tow bar where you can tow up to 750 kilos, braked or unbraked. A bit more would have been better, maybe for a caravan or a small sports boat or maybe even a horse. Yes. How exactly do you plan to pull your Mustang otherwise?
Yes, exactly. There you see.
We've shown you all the exceptions already. So let's move to the interior and explore in detail what the Mustang Mach E GT truly has to offer. First off, there's double glazing with 2 panes that are interconnected by a film. Furthermore, we find ourselves with what you would likely expect to be a really high-quality door panel here. Now it's dinging and somewhat dangling around here. I'll try to press it away here just okay, kind of anyway. That works too. Up here, it's soft foamed plastic, also looks very high quality. Elegantly done. Here we have a truly lovely Alcantara theme. I really appreciate and enjoy this suede-like appearance.
Sure, it looks stylish.
Memory functions, driver seats, then here leather, faux leather with grey stitching. The door opener is hidden here, but there's still a little space for a small fry holder, window switch, mirror adjustment. That appears very fancy, and we've got a Bang & Olufsen sound system on board.
Look, I'm eager to see that later.
Me too. This is hard plastic, also slightly foamed. Well, there's also no mat or anything inside here. You might end up hearing a bit of rustling and clattering. Well, I guess everyone can surely form their own opinion about it. Whether that annoys you or bothers you less. Let's move on to discussing the dashboard carrier. I think it's beautifully designed. At the top, there's hard plastic, but it really doesn't bother me at all. Then there's the Bang & Olufsen sound system with an integrated sound bar. Here, a kind of grain. It looks quite chic too. Instead of carbon, a nice fabric with a seam here. I must say that's really nicely done. What I'm missing is a head-up display. I guess that's not meant to be optional either. I find that a bit disappointing. You can adjust the steering wheel in height and reach. We have a really nice large bicycle display that provides us with all the most important and essential information we need. Inside are infrared cameras that essentially monitor our eyes even through sunglasses, which they can easily see through. Infrared tech does that. Neat, eh?
Yep, it's good.
Because we will definitely need that for BlueCruise in the future in order to essentially monitor the driver's overall attention, especially in situations when we have the permission to take our hands off the steering wheel. Nice tactile buttons, though perhaps there's somewhat too much plastic here. They could have opted for some suede, faux leather, or something similar.
Yep, sure.
Horn works though, and then in a 3-spoke design, nice and thick and grippy. Feels good too. Here we are again with an offset seam. It's all really quite lovely.
Yep, sure.
Right in the middle, there's quite a large, and I'd estimate it's almost 15 inches vertical display. That's where opinions differ. Some say, horizontal would be cool to maybe watch the latest episode of Einfach Elektrisch on YouTube during a charging break. I find it to be quite stylish actually, and especially when it comes to navigation tasks, it really proves to be a cool feature since it provides you with a much better overview of the entire driving route. Like if you have a display where you only have a short portion of it. And the majority of people probably just stick to using the navigation system. Ford has implemented route planning, including charging planning, in a very modern and stylish way. There's really not much extraordinary to mention here. Another nice feature is that you can easily integrate wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in this setup. But the sound isn't working. We've tried everything here, turned, pressed, done everything possible. Why ever the audio is off, I don't know why that is. Yes, sorry, we would have liked to show you the Bang & Olufsen sound system here again. And yeah, this way you'll also have a nice, large Google Maps map readily available to assist you and help you navigate comfortably, confidently, and effortlessly. Down here is the climate menu, actually quite nicely done, where you can then talk about the intensities using buttons or the knob. For seat heating, you can switch to auto mode where the car decides. You have a nice temperature menu here, which you can easily adjust using this control wheel. I find it all kind of stylish and cleverly done.
Yes, yep.
Yes, the center console is designed to be very open here. On one side, we have an inductive charging pad. Ford does not offer an additional charging option for the second half. I think it's a shame.
Exactly.
We have a USB-C port, USB-A port, 2 cup holders, but here a bit harder plastic and rough. It's nicely covered with faux leather again, then the gear selector, handbrakes, parking assist and hazard lights. And then we have nicely highlighted with GT here again, so that you immediately recognize in the interior, among other things, that it's a GT. Here with the marking, we have a practical drawer that's both very high quality and incredibly chic, nicely laid out with a carpet below 12-volt socket. Then another compartment which can also be closed like that. Plus, you also have the option to have the center armrest here. It fits ergonomically in terms of height. I believe the lengths are quite alright too. However, unfortunately, you simply can't adjust them at all.
Oh, too bad.
Sure, so up here we have a holder for the sunglasses again. We've got the reading lights and naturally also an absolutely enormous glass roof. But I believe it costs an extra charge for just one choosy. So then, yeah, to basically look at the starry sky all the way in the back, unfortunately, no panoramic glass sunroof that can be opened. It would be nice to let some air into the Mustang, especially after a hot, fast drive, to cool down a bit. But yeah, black headliner, reading lights, that's all okay. But here, maybe in the top variant, we are starting like this. Well, 77,000 euros, whether that's a lot or a little, I'll let you decide. I would have liked to see maybe a bit of suede on the roof as well. The Alcantara here, the A-pillar, is just covered in plastic. Ford could have been a bit kinder.
Yeah, a bit more premium would have been nice.
And when you look at the American side, you can already see the model year 2025 and what new specs it has. However, you can't just transfer that straightforwardly to Europe. Ford, of course, not only homogenizes the car for European tastes, but also tailors it specifically for the unique needs of the European market. So basically tailored to our needs. Sometimes it's the firmer suspension. Here we've got the magnetic ride suspension installed. We'll test that later, where it feels like 1,000 or even 1,000,000 times per second. All the dampers are checked to see if everything is balanced correctly. We'll be testing that soon in the upcoming driving report. I'm genuinely curious about the changes to the interior. They're expecting a new center console to appear in 2025 in the Mach E.
Let's see.
The view through the passenger door shows you once more the beautifully open design. Below is another level where you can also find the gentleman's pouch, small name pouch, etc. Store it. It's quite nicely done, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, also nice with a rubber mat.
Highlights include the sporty seats, again in the Alcantara suede design. I think it looks pretty cool with the gray stitching, but especially in a GT like this, I would have liked a bit more thigh support. Even sportier, even more racing-like, right? Yes, that would have been nice. More GT-like, even though GT always stands for Grand Touring. Right here in the lumbar area, we have exceptionally good support. Then we feature these very, very pronounced shoulder pads here, which we include especially in the upper body area to be better supported. I would have liked that in the thigh area at least. And then there's the semi-integrated headrest here, which unfortunately doesn't offer any comfort function. Yes, depending on the leg length. As you can see with my long beauties here, I might have wished that the seat could be extended a bit further, because look here at mine. Yeah, there's still a bit of room. But these are just tiny flaws. We gladly move on with them. Then for future model maintenance, yes, let's check again behind the hard plastic here. So there's basically a glove compartment. Here, Ford also doesn't provide any felt carpet or anything. Also a bit of a shame. Yes, at the door entry, we have the GT symbol just kind of pasted on there rather carelessly, which doesn't show much thoughtfulness.
Yeah, under the little horse, right?
Again, sort of into hard plastic. Look, Stefan, this way.
Yes, that's perfectly all right. It only goes through there just once.
Certainly. In that instance, I would have quite preferred a touch more softness, so it doesn't end up rattling or clattering on those cobblestones when you're driving all on your own. I'm 6 feet 1 inch tall, fawn-like, 220 pounds. I've just gotten off my Mustang at the front, and now I'm heading to the back of my Mustang.
Let's check.
Here you can already notice the sort of doll-like line emerging. First of all, be sure to watch your head carefully when stepping in to avoid any bumps. I think that was during the Mach E video when I nicely bumped my head here. So be cautious about that. What is always cool? Look, Stefan, here it's all just like the front, also with the suede Alcantara. Here it's nice and soft fabric, leatherette, so Ford does indulge a bit there.
Indeed, he really does.
Let's see how the back seating test goes. If the front seat is set to the B-pillar, then there's quite a generous amount of room here, even for someone with a slightly fuller figure. Center armrest is quite comfortable. The cup holder goes here in the front, but that doesn't concern me at all. It seemed like it could have been a bit longer in length. The cup holder should definitely be further forward, as I always have to awkwardly lean back when reaching for my coffee. However, I do think it's actually quite all right. Just behind this opening, which appears to be without a zipper, there's the ISOFIX mounting. Yes, driver and passenger sides for 2 child seats, but for example, here in the back, Ford doesn't provide any support at all. Look, this is all completely flat here, no elevation, no...
Not at all. You're just sliding around when some pressure is applied at the front.
Exactly, because we have here 487 horsepower, and when you step on it a bit, something does happen with the vehicle. And then there's not as much side support here as one might like. I find it somewhat suboptimal. Yeah, here are the air vents for opening and closing. No 3-zone climate here. Climate control adjustable in the back, USB-C, USB-A port, and then just a flat surface. And where Ford doesn't indulge is here on the back seats. That's also hard plastic. Look, it's already curling up here a bit. When you press against it a little, there's no net here, there's no pocket at all. There's absolutely nothing to put things behind. So I believe even in the latest Ford model, Puma, there's more indulgence.
Definitely, yes.
So the Ford Puma is likely more than 50% cheaper compared to a Mach E GT, isn't it?
Sure thing.
So I really do wonder why they didn't at least consider providing some storage space back here. And take a look here, it's just hard plastic, you know, like this, and then it continues back up to the headrest. Friends, well, there's certainly a bit more you could do to enhance the interior, isn't there? Yes, here we also have the belt with a hard plastic, and I can accept that here. All manufacturers do it that way. So I find it a bit suboptimal. What's really cool is having handrails here, so we can easily slide around. At least there's something to hold on to. You can hold on here, and we can also enjoy the stars beautifully at night. Yes?
It's quite lovely.
We've shown you everything outside. We've shown you everything inside. Now I want to really feel the Mustang with its 487 horsepower. All right, come on now. Let's get in for a thorough and detailed test drive. First, we will check out the turning circle together. Here we have 11.90 meters, which allows us to performantly maneuver around the bumps. Yeah, 11.90 meters isn't a record, but it's also not a bad value for a 4.74 meter car. It feels nice and tight, and I can move around easily from stepping, and the 4.97 meters of PS sure leave some solid tracks. We would like to simulate the process of parking with the Mustang Mach E alongside you and see in detail how the system can assist us. Let's explore the various ways it helps when maneuvering into a parking spot. To do this, we shift to reverse gear, activating a rear-view camera that provides helpful guiding lines. Let's see if we can manage that, shall we? I'm taking another look at the side mirrors to make absolutely sure nothing gets scratched or scraped along the way. But he actually does that quite well, eh? So from that standpoint, we also managed to drive into such a tight spot quite neatly. Here. Now let's see what else we can adjust here. So we basically have a 360-degree camera system and then also a 180-degree crop. That's really good when you're reversing out of a driveway to check if there are pedestrians, cyclists, or other people who might still be in the way. And yeah, but somehow a front camera, he couldn't really, right? No, not really. How come, huh? That's odd too, right? What else do we have with plus? Okay, so a top view. But he doesn't have a front camera now, right? That's how he games. I think it's kind of a shame, you know? Yeah, we started with the Mustang Mach E GT here on the A57 highway. Yes, we have 3 driving modes. We have the tooth mode. In this mode, it's slightly reduced with its 487 horsepower from the electric pedal foot. We have active mode, where we really aim to be agile. And of course, there is the spirited mode, where we experience the maximum power with up to 860 Newton meters of torque. We definitely don't need driving noise in electromobility. Those who desire it will receive a deep, artificially replicated V8 engine sound effect. I don't need him for my happiness now. How about you, Stefan?
No, not really, no.
Exactly, here we are a bit speed limited, but now we want to head towards Krefeld. Is that right, Stefan, where we are going?
Yeah.
Activate the BlueCruise here. You can also see it displayed here. BlueCruise is on, okay, the road. And now it kicked us out again. What could be the reason it is kicking us out here? So let's set it to 100 kilometers per hour, and now we have BlueCruise. BlueCruise means we can have our hands entirely off the wheel, allowing the car to drive on its own effortlessly. That means he keeps the middle of the lane, he monitors all lanes, we can move freely here. The only thing we really need to be is attentive and careful, ensuring that we have, well, seamlessly linked the infrared camera with our eyes here. That means if we happen to look away and begin fiddling around with the display, it would eventually interrupt and intervene to stop us. What Ford doesn't have yet, but is expected to come in 2025 and has already been submitted to the KBA, Federal Motor Transport Authority, for approval, is the lane change assistant. Just like we know from BMW, you can look in the side mirrors and then the car will perform semi-autonomously or at level 2+ the lane change for us. So hopefully that should get the approval in the year 2025, and it should also be available as an update to BlueCruise. Added to the package, I believe BlueCruise is consistently included with each Ford Mustang Mach E for initially the first 90 days of ownership. And after the 90 days, you can rent it monthly, I believe, for 24.99 euros.
Yes, and it can be cancelled monthly.
Exactly, that means you don't have to pay $24.99 every year for 12 months, but you can say, well, I usually only drive in urban areas, occasionally cross-country, and don't really need BlueCruise during the year. Then you can basically opt to rent BlueCruise on a monthly basis, allowing for flexibility with monthly cancellation just for a vacation month. This is ideal if you wish to venture out on a trip, perhaps to Italy or Austria or any other destination of your choice. And that's absolutely fantastic because now I can effortlessly cruise with BlueCruise.
Yeah, that's really awesome, isn't it?
And I have to say, up to 130 kilometers per hour, I find it absolutely incredibly super brilliant in its additional form. of the assistance system. Yeah, otherwise you can easily drive manually just like you're used to, but I honestly say, if you've got it, flaunt it.
Sure, yeah,
And I would use it too, right?
definitely.
And I believe that's a really significant selling point for all those who enjoy driving on the highway, who might always have a stretch of highway included in their daily routine. It's just really pleasant.
Exactly.
As you saw here, it functions very reliably indeed. By the way, it works better in the Ford as well. We can't show you now though, because of traffic, even in construction zones. Whenever it identifies any two lanes, regardless of their color, through its camera system, BlueCruise becomes operational and functions as intended. That was a bit different with the BMW too, as it categorically said no-go in construction zones at first. There's no highway assistant available here at all. Ford is noticeably ahead, with some people actually saying it was developed before BMW and was already available earlier in England, because in England there aren't as strict regulations as we have in Germany. So, from that perspective, I think it will be an exciting future because BlueCruise is just the beginning of autonomous driving. We are aware from America that full self-driving in Tesla and other brands such as Cadillac Lyriq, which you've probably seen featured in our video, is significantly more advanced and developed than what we have here. Now, he really wants to know, but hey, we drive a Ford Mustang E GT. What does he want now, right? Here he comes. I find it so cool when people overestimate themselves, right?
Yeah.
So now he's all tame with his little Golf, right? Here in the Cologne city area where the Ford factories essentially hold sway, right? Right? And where we can, with our Ford Mustang Mach E GT, of course, show off a bit and flex. Does he, right?
Beautiful vacationer humming.
And that's in tame, right? Not in full temperament. Are you ready for a lounge? I activated the temperament, turned on the driving noises, the man perked up. 3, 2, 1, go! And he speeds ahead, quickly hitting 30, 50, 70 and a full 100 towards happiness before slamming the brakes with the Brembo system, which beautifully grips the deceleration. Truly amazing, right? Our values, Stefan?
We have 0 to 100 in 4.75 seconds, and 0 to 60 in 2.23 seconds, and from 100 to 0 in 3.14. So the brakes are really fantastic.
I would say let's follow up with another launch right away. Things seem to be going uphill a bit here. We only have 28% battery. Ford didn't give us a full charge for the test car. How about a countdown and then we push off again, okay?
Of course, 3, 2, 1, and here we definitely go.
Press the button. Set the seats to positions 50 and 70 and then proceed to go beyond 100. Conduct the second brake check once more. And the Brembo brake grips just as effectively. That's what I call quality. Whoo, that truly was a lot of fun.
That was fun. And we've got 0 to 100, also back to 4.7. 100 to 0 is a bit better, 2.97. And 0 to 60, 2.22.
Yes, we might need to give it a bit of a break. We obviously have a low battery level, so we might not have full voltage or full power right now. That's with an electric motor, it's a bit different than with a combustion engine. And of course, we have winter tires on in 19 inches, which obviously have a different rolling resistance. The flooring is just as it is. And for such a figure, 3,7 seconds with a 2,3 ton vehicle, including us, 2,6 tons. Yeah, you might need a bit more there. So I don't want to say that I'm disappointed, but I want to be honest and fair with the Mach E GT. Okay, we'll check interior noise at 50 kilometers per hour. 57, 58 decibels, a top value, accelerating to 70. 59, 60 decibels, that's a great value. We accelerate to 100. 64, 65 decibels. This buddy here is extremely well soundproofed.
Truly fantastic values.
So I guess we're nearly on the level of a Mercedes S-Class, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, yes. It's quite awesome.
So hats off to Ford for the good noise insulation. We've driven on the highway with you, gone through city traffic, made U-turns, tested interior noises, and driven through the countryside. And one particular topic that we haven't tackled yet is exactly how comfortable or how sporty is the vehicle actually? Ford Mustang Mach E GT. And to ensure we get values that are transparent and not possibly subjective, we've naturally developed a medium over the years. which provides a certain level of neutrality on one hand, yet also ensures precise values, as everything we do is thoroughly data-driven. We've cleverly concocted what's humorously referred to as Stefan's rear-o-meter. Further developed, yes. Now let's see today's result.
Developed further, I liked it again. As we mentioned earlier, I would have liked a bit more thigh support on the seats, because the car does have a bit more power. And you get tossed around a bit from left to right. But side support is good. The shoulder design with these flared parts is awesome because you're sitting really comfortably here. I find the braking performance awesome, and as for the ride comfort, I think when you drive on gear, it's a bit more pleasant to drive. He's definitely a bit more comfortable, but such a temperament extension seems a bit harder or tougher.
Exactly, so with the magnetic ride suspension, we have these adaptive dampers that will probably also adjust according to the driving situation. Apparently, it's supposed to analyze the driving situation 1,000,000 times per second. And yes, it's firmly comfortable, but I don't find it uncomfortable. If we go by temperament, because here is just a spot where we can do a bit of lateral acceleration back and forth, and it maintains a nice and consistent firmness, holding exceptionally well on track, avoiding the typical SUV swaying movements that you often experience, and simply stays perfectly in line.
Yeah, he does it well.
So, and I just have to mention that the suspension system is truly a beast.
Yeah, it's really quite beautiful.
However, one must add, if someone is looking for a cruiser where they really want to glide along, where they don't want any contact with the road, where they don't want to feel any bumps, then he's clearly in the GT. Oh, not right.
No, not really. You need a bit more for that.
This is really about a bit of firmness, performance, driving feel, a proper direct steering. Sure, at the limit, we obviously have a high vehicle weight here as well. We possess an SUV body style, and we must not overlook that fact. We also had discussions about taxes and a bit on the front and rear axles. So just when we go full plus on temperament, you're really only supposed to use that on the racetrack. Of course, we only tried that on the racetrack because we're always driving on racetracks here. And then you can also nicely shake your booty.
You can have fun, I guess, yes?
So in that regard, the Ford Mustang Mach E GT is probably never the most efficient because you can always plan for around plus minus 25 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Unless you're driving ecologically through the city, then it will probably go below 20. And when it hits the highway aiming for 200 kilometers per hour top speed, it sometimes goes beyond 3 and maybe even over 4. Yes.
Absolutely, indeed so.
Sure, you could do a consumption drive and a charging check again. However, we will definitely catch up on that with the model year 2025 in order to be able to show you all the latest generation. I have to say it really catches me.
It's fun, isn't it?
So, and he has just so many different things on board that really add an extra special touch. Add a nice little cherry on top compared to the basic version, you know?
Sure thing.
And that always bothers me anyway, right? And with that, let's slowly but surely start moving towards the conclusion, yeah? If it weren't for the 77,000 euros, give or take, mentioned as the starting price, although one should generally take gross list prices with a grain of salt, because most of you will naturally lease or refinance a Ford Mustang Mach E GT rather than purchase it. Simply because you also want to keep up with the technology over time. So after 2, 3, 4, or 5 years to perhaps make the switch to the newer model makes sense, especially in e-mobility.
Okay.
If we just think back to the last 4.5, 5 years, what leaps have we made in charging performance, battery sizes, range, efficiency? So there is a huge development happening, and if I believe your nearby Ford dealer and Ford is well positioned, offers you such an attractive leasing rate, then you should at least take a test drive and consider it. If a Mustang Mach E, if you like the appearance and the space suits you, this kind of system here might actually be an intriguing new electric vehicle, because in my personal opinion, it's somewhat underestimated.
I do agree, yes.
There are frequently certain stories from various car YouTubers. We definitely do our part as well, and certain colleagues from the print media who write both pros and cons. But I have to say, for anyone now looking for such an SUV coupe, sporty, with an attractive lease rate, if Ford offers that, I would firstly not know what might speak against it, except that it's maybe not the fastest at charging. So, to be fair, that's worth mentioning. And maybe the roomiest, but it has such a presence. And let's be honest, people do turn their heads for a Ford Mustang Mach E GT like that. So even where we filmed, everyone was checking out the car. Those setting up the Christmas market were circling it. Well, in my opinion, it definitely polarizes quite a bit too. Additionally, it creates a distinct and unique selling point, ensuring you're not just driving yet another XYZ that you commonly see in the everyday city streets, but rather you enjoy driving something unique, something special, right?
Okay.
Why settle for only a single Ford Mustang Mach E GT when you could have two, right?
Yes, it makes you think.
Yes, and with that, let's bring today's video to a close here with the Ford Mustang Mach E GT. I really do hope that all of you found the video both enjoyable and entertaining. You give it a thumbs up. Please check again if you are part of the einfach electrisch community. We'd be delighted if you support us with a subscription, then you won't miss the model year 2025 with the new one. Do EGT sometime next year. Heartfelt thanks for watching. Please stay healthy and see you soon, your Ollie. Hey, Stefan. Something that would definitely look really cool is a bronze outlet, you know, if you choose it in British green or whatever that classic color is called.
Yeah, and then with a bronze grille like that, it looks fancy.
That's another optical highlight then.
For sure, that's a catch.
I can't figure it out. There's a 360 camera here, right? So why no front view earlier?
No idea.
No one really knows, eh?
Not anyone.